In just a matter of hours now, former President Donald Trump and his running mate J.D. Vance will be in Asheboro for the first outdoor rally since an assassination attempt on Trump's life just weeks ago. We have team coverage of the GOP Tickets campaign stop. Our Joshua Davis spoke with supporters who traveled far and wide to attend today's event, but we begin with our Kenny Beck. And Kenny, why is the Trump campaign stumping in Asheboro today?
Well, Lindsay, good afternoon. They're doing the national anthem right here, right now. This program just got underway a few minutes ago. Why Asheboro? That is a great question. Certainly not a heavily populated area, not a place that politicians come to all that often. I asked Wake Forest political science professor John Dinan, why do you think the Trump campaign chose Asheboro for today's event? He says this signals that he is out to excite his base, get his people to go to the polls in November, because that's what it's going to take to win in November. And there's no question at all that Randolph County is Trump country. Here are the results from the 2020 election. Trump-Biden from Randolph County specifically. This was Trump plus 56. He received 3.5 times as many votes as President Biden did just 4 years ago. And he won over Hillary Clinton by a similar margin in 2016. Now, this is also the former president's second event in North Carolina in just the last 8 days. Professor Dinan says that's very much by design as well.
The candidate's time is perhaps most important. To see the Trump campaign deploy Trump to North Carolina last week, then again this week, that signals that the Trump campaign sees a need to shore up North Carolina. You don't devote those resources to a state unless you see that state is competitive.
And just yesterday, the UVA Center for Politics, Larry Sabato and the folks who run his crystal ball moved North Carolina from leans Republican to toss-up. That means the 7 states that are on your screen right now: Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, and Nevada will almost certainly determine who wins this election in November. Again, back here live in Asheboro, we are at the State Aviation Museum. The program just began moments ago. The vice presidential nominee, J.D. Vance, scheduled to address the crowd at 1. The former president set to speak at 2. Lindsay.
And safety obviously at the forefront at these events. Kenny, before you go, can you tell us more about security ahead of today's rally?
Right. Well, obviously, law enforcement not tipping their hands about exactly what is different. This is his first outdoor rally since the attempt on his life in Butler last month, but a few things are abundantly clear. There is bulletproof glass surrounding the lectern here on the main stage, and one thing you cannot see is behind us, behind this meteorizer, there are portable storage units and enormous moving vans that are essentially blocking the view of anyone who is outside of this event. I can tell you, maybe an hour ago, we saw a number of people in camouflage, in uniform, clearly members of law enforcement in some capacity, walking on the buildings that are near, just kind of keeping an eye on things. As soon as the crowd saw them, they got a big round of applause. Live in Asheboro, Kenny Beck, WXII 12 News.
All right, Kenny, thank you. Supporters of the Republican ticket traveled far and wide to attend today's campaign in Asheboro. WXII 12's Joshua Davis spoke with them before they entered the gates. And Joshua, you've been speaking with people not just from North Carolina, but people who have gathered in Asheboro from all across the world today.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. If actually you look over my shoulder here, you can see flags from Japan, you can see flags from South Korea, and no doubt you'll notice this sea of red, white, and blue Trump flags, and of course his signature hats. There should be no surprise that people in this crowd are excited the former president is coming to town. Now, people have been lined up here as early as 5:30 this morning, and that enthusiasm seems to grow as more people make their way to the venue. We've hit the point where people are parking their cars elsewhere and walking in to see Trump and Vance speak. One woman I spoke to called the atmosphere here infectious, and for hours we've seen people cheering, marching around, waving flags, and singing songs. Kim, a Navy veteran from Boone, North Carolina, says she supported the former president since 2016 and is looking forward to what he'll do in office if elected again.
I think he's great at addressing family values, patriotism, making America first. I'm motivated. These people are all motivated. We're ready to go. Everyone needs to vote. Vote early. Don't wait till Election Day to vote. Vote.
And starting at 4, we'll hear from those international supporters again, coming as far out as South Korea, and chanting has begun right behind me. In Asheboro, I'm Joshua Davis for WXII 12 News.